Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of One Mic where I watch shit so you don't have to. Today I'm here to talk about Chadwick Boseman's final film, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. So, big Chadwick fan. Obviously, a lot of us were pretty broken up in 2020 when he passed prematurely. None of us knew that he had cancer, and pretty big shock for those of us who are big fans of his to see that that he passed away, and it was a really rough time, and I found some form of pleasure in being able to see his last performance. Unfortunately, it was also really difficult to watch. You watch something like this and you think that, a lot of actors will transform their bodies for roles. We've seen it from all kinds of different guys. De Niro did it in Raging Bull. I don't know. Joaquin Phoenix did it most recently in Joker. There's a number of different times that this has happened. So many that I'm having trouble remembering them right now. But watching this and seeing Chadwick looking that way with the knowledge that he was not losing weight for the role, that's just how he looked. It was really hard to watch at times. Like I feel really bad because looking at that, knowing he knew he didn't have much time left. His co-stars likely did not. And watching it now after everything's already happened makes it kind of tough to watch, see him looking like that. But enough of the downer talk. I was really looking forward to this one just because I wanted to see his last performance. I heard a lot of great stuff. You got Chadwick, you got Viola Davis, so you're gonna get some acting performances. So I decided to sit down and watch it with my wife's Black Bottom, and we watched this film. Actually, she watched it already. Actually, she had watched it without me, which is against the rules, but she watched it without me with her mom, and actually liked it so much that she wanted me. I mean, I was going to watch it anyway, but she really wanted to watch it a second time, which was going to be my first time. So we sat down and checked it out. So give you an idea, this movie is based upon Ma Rainey, which was a real person, a blues musician who had a penchant for keeping it real and telling it like it is. This movie kind of displays that. I think the best movie that I can compare it to would be Fences, which also starred Viola Davis and Denzel Washington, came out a couple years ago. Based on a play, so it has a very play type feel. Very few locations. I don't even know if this had more than one, but one, maybe two locations this takes place. It's very dialogue driven. Not a lot of action. When I say action, I mean action like car chases and shit like that. But I just mean things that are exciting or might make you perk up in your seat. Oh, what's happening? It's very, very dialogue driven. Very reliant on the actors' performances, and Chadwick and Viola deliver. Chadwick in particular, and I'm not saying this because he's dead. A lot of they talk about we should give people their flowers while they're here. I gave Chadwick his flowers theoretically while he was here, but his performance was phenomenal, and I was still actually a little bit taken aback by how good it was. Because at the end of the day, we've seen Chadwick in a lot of great stuff. We've seen Chadwick do a lot of impressive performances, but I don't know. This one was something else. I'd be pretty. There could be an Oscar nomination in the future for Chadwick. And given given what happened, the same thing happened with Heath Ledger. He won one posthumously. I can see the same thing happening for Chadwick, almost kind of like a final giving of thanks for all that he's done for the industry. So really great work from him. Viola Davis is great as well. But I'm telling you, Chadwick is 10 times as good as she was. And she was great, but Chadwick was phenomenal. He had when you have these movies that are kind of based on plays and they try to keep that same structure in the film, you get these kind of big monologues that are meant to be just these are your big moments in this film. And Chadwick's were phenomenal. The only issue that I had with them, and to be fair to the film plays these the film plays it out perfectly. And I can't really say perfectly, but all right, I'll just rewind and kind of start from the beginning. Well, not the beginning of the video, the beginning of talking about Chadwick's performance. The thing that troubled me a little bit about it was that in the moment while watching the film, Chadwick's character, his name is Levy. Levy's reactions did not appear to be justified given what happened prior. So, I'll give you an example. Chadwick's first big monologue in this film is basically after a couple of guys were roasted him for being cool with white people. And, we do that in the black community all the time. We give each other shit. We, roasting folks. Like, we used to have sessions, cap sessions. We used to call them here in Detroit, where all you do is just start capping is just roasting people, like cracking jokes on them and insults. And Chadwick's character caught a little heat for maybe like a couple of seconds. And then he goes into this monologue, and it's a phenomenal point in the film, but his response was a complete overreaction to getting roasted for a few minutes, and that kind of took me out of it a little bit in the film. And as the film progresses and we learn more and more about Levy's background, his reactions to what happened in previous moments within the film make more sense. But and this is my only critique of not my only critique, it's one of two critiques I have of the film was that, and this isn't, and I can't even really call it a critique of the film because, like I said, if his reactions were unjustified and it was never explained, it'd be a critique of the film. But as we learn more about Levy's past, his reactions and ultimately how the film ends do seem justified. His reactions seem not justified, but they seem like what that character would do given that character's history. That's the best way of putting it. But it just made me feel kind of like underwhelmed once the film was over, because I thought about those moments and I'm like, I would have appreciated those moments way more if they didn't feel so out of place, if that makes sense. Like, why would you, like, his response to getting roasted about being cool with white people was to tell one of the worst stories I've ever heard in anything ever. Like, it's a horrible story about his past. And I'm like, that's where you go when you get somebody crack a couple jokes on you. You tell a story like that? That's insane. But so that kind of took me out of it in the moment. I'm like, he's really laying some heavy shit down right now just because he got roasted for a couple minutes. But I just have some remorse over the responses not being comparable to whatever the impetus of the monologue, and it took me out of it in the moment. And I just feel a little remorseful over that. Like, oh man, I wish this film were structured in a way to where that those moments could have held a little bit more weight than they did. Fortunately, Chadwick was so good that I was sitting there watching like, I feel like his character's overreacting right now, but fuck, he's killing it right now. So really great stuff from him. The only other thing that I had a slight problem with is that at the end of the day, it's not that interesting of a film. The first, I wasn't looking at my watch, but the first 20, 30 minutes or so, it got off to a slow start. It basically just felt like just casual chatter. Like if you were a fly on the wall in these rooms with these characters, and this is necessary chatter, but when you have a film it's not driven by plot, or it's not driven by action or things like that, it's solely driven by dialogue. That dialogue needs to be intriguing from jump. Like that's what you see when you see a Quentin Tarantino movie. Like you think about something like Pulp Fiction, the opening scene of Pulp Fiction, it's all, most of Pulp Fiction, it relies heavily on dialogue, but they come with like great writing from the first sentence of the film. And you need that for things like this to pull us into these characters, get us interested in these characters, and show us that, we're going to see some interesting things going forward. And I felt like this movie took a little bit too long to get going. I was probably about 20, 30 minutes in. I'm kind of like, I don't even know what this is about. Where is this going? So it starts to really starts to take off with the aforementioned big monologue from Chadwick Boseman. I think it starts to move along a little bit prior to that, but that's really when the movie starts firing off, moving forward. And it just it at that point it's really good. Like, you know, it gets really interesting, but at the end of the day, you're kind of waiting for these big moments, these big monologues, and it didn't help that it took a while for them to really get the ball rolling on the show. I mean, on the movie. Sorry. So that's my only two critiques of it. But I mean, at the end of the day, they are fairly big critiques, especially the one about it getting slow moving, because you know, again, when you don't have that action and you don't have that plot, it's important to get these things going a little bit quicker than this film did. But I could see this film, you know, not racking up, but you know, getting a couple Oscar nominations for acting performances. I'd be shocked if it got an Oscar nomination for Best Picture, but I've certainly seen worse nominated than this. But at the end of the day, not a bad film at all. So don't take that as a critique. And just for me, it was just like, this is cool. I can definitely appreciate the performances, but it's not something that I ever really feel like I need to see again. Now, if you're somebody who's, you know, trying to get into acting and you want to, you know, brush up on your monologues, this might be something that you study, because there's some great work here. But as far as just like for entertainment value, like how do I want to spend the next hour and a half? Do I want to watch this again? Not particularly. But again, it's a solid film, not bad, not great, with phenomenal performances. And that's really kind of the best way to sum it up. So again, as always, rate, comment, share, subscribe, critique, all that good stuff. Let me know what you think. And I'll be back tomorrow with another video for, who knows? I haven't decided. We'll see. I have a lot of options. Peace.